Cody Rhodes vs Jacob Fatu vs Sami Zayn Triple Threat Match, WWE SmackDown 13/02/2026. The Triple Threat Match between Cody Rhodes, Jacob Fatu, and Sami Zayn on SmackDown February 13, 2026 wasn't just a wrestling match, it was a setup orchestrated by the Final Dynasty to systematically destroy the two people who've been most vocal about exposing Roman Reigns' corruption. And here's what's going to make you absolutely furious. WWE Champion Cody Rhodes was in on IT the entire time, working with Roman to eliminate Sami Zayn while making it look like competitive wrestling, and the finish to this match reveals that Cody has been playing both sides since joining the Final Dynasty, manipulating everyone into thinking he's a reluctant ally when he's actually Roman's most loyal soldier. Because what happened in that ring wasn't three wrestlers competing for supremacy. It was a public execution disguised as sports entertainment, and the person who suffered the most, Sami Zayn, the heart and soul of WWE's resistance against tyranny, walked out not just defeated but broken, realizing that even Cody Rhodes, the man who preached about finishing his story and doing things the right way, has been corrupted by power and Roman's influence. SmackDown opened with General Manager Nick Aldis announcing a special attraction main event to determine who gets momentum heading into the final weeks before WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes, the undisputed WWE Champion and member of the Final Dynasty. Jacob Fatu, the destructive enforcer who's laid waste to the entire roster. And Sami Zayn, the former Shield ally who's been fighting against the Final Dynasty's corruption. On paper, it seemed like excellent booking, three distinct styles, compelling storylines intersecting, and the intrigue of whether Cody and Fatu would work together or compete legitimately. But everyone should have seen the red flags immediately. Why would WWE put their champion in a non-title triple threat on free television? Why would the Final Dynasty allow two of their members to potentially hurt each other? And why was Sami, the guy who's been most vocally anti-Final Dynasty, being thrown into a 2-on-1 situation with no backup? The answers to those questions reveal the most sinister plot WWE has run in years. The opening minutes of the match played out exactly as you'd expect from three elite performers. Sami used his quickness and technical skill to avoid the power of Fatu and the versatility of Cody. Fatu used his size and brutality to dominate when he could catch either opponent. And Cody worked that middle ground, technical enough to hang with Sami, tough enough to absorb Fatu's offense. The crowd was molten for this match because SmackDown crowds in 2026 have been incredible, and the Orlando faithful were fully invested in seeing Sami get a victory over Final Dynasty members. Chants of Sami, Sami, echoed through the arena every time Zayn mounted a fence. But about 8 minutes into the match, something shifted. Cody and Fatu, who had been working against each other, suddenly started showing cooperation. Not obvious tag team moves that would be too blatant, but subtle things. Cody would soften up Sami, then conveniently roll out of the ring so Fatu could capitalize. Fatu would have Sami in trouble, and Cody would break up Sami's comeback attempts while claiming he was just being opportunistic. The commentary team tried to explain it as everyone for themselves and smart strategy, but anyone paying attention could see the coordination happening. Around the 12-minute mark, the conspiracy became undeniable. Sami had fought his way into a position where he had Cody set up for his finisher, the hell of a kick. The crowd was on their feet because if Sami hit this, he'd pin the WWE Champion and get massive momentum heading into WrestleMania. But as Sami charged for the hell of a kick, Jacob Fatu, who should have been recovering on the outside, suddenly grabbed Sami's leg from under the bottom rope, tripping him and preventing the move. Sami crashed to the mat, and before he could recover, Cody hit him with a crossroads. But Cody didn't go for the pin. He rolled out of the ring, leaving Sami vulnerable. And Fatu immediately entered, grabbed Sami, and hit a devastating running hip attack that left Sami motionless. Then Fatu dragged Cody back into the ring and physically placed Cody on top of Sami for the pin. The referee counted 3, and Cody Rhodes got the victory. But everyone in that arena knew what they just witnessed: the Final Dynasty members working together to destroy Sami Zayn while maintaining plausible deniability about their cooperation. But the real atrocity happened after the bell rang. As Sami lay on the mat, barely conscious from the accumulated damage, The Rock's music hit. The crowd's cheers immediately turned to boos because everyone knew what was coming. The Rock, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins walked down to the ring while Cody and Fatu just stood there, making no effort to leave or protect Sami. When the Final Dynasty entered the ring, Cody extended his hand to Roman in a show of unity that made the crowd erupt in hatred. Then all 5 members of the Final Dynasty, Roman, Rock, Cody, Seth, and Fatu, proceeded to demolish Sami Zayn in an assault that lasted over 5 minutes of uninterrupted brutality. This wasn't a wrestling beatdown. This was punishment for daring to stand against them. Roman hit Sami with multiple Superman punches. The Rock delivered rock bottoms on the exposed floor. Seth, the man who betrayed the Shield just days ago, hit Sami with repeated curb stomps. Cody, the supposed American nightmare who was meant to represent hope, hit Sami with crossroads after crossroads. And Jacob Fatu? He delivered strikes so vicious that multiple fans were shown on camera turning away because they couldn't watch. The most devastating moment came when Roman grabbed a microphone and spoke directly to Sami while standing over his broken body. "Sami, you actually thought you mattered? You thought your little Shield reunion was going to save WWE? You're nothing. You were nothing in the Bloodline, you're nothing in the Shield, and you're nothing in our WWE. Then Roman did something that crossed every line. He told Cody, "Finish your story." Cody looked conflicted for maybe 3 seconds, just long enough for fans to hope he might refuse, might show some humanity. But then Cody grabbed Sami, lifted him up, and delivered one more cross Rhodes with such force that Sami's head bounced off the mat sickeningly. The crowd was raining trash into the ring. Boos were so loud that commentary couldn't be heard. And the final dynasty just stood there smiling, celebrating what they'd done while Sami Zayn lay motionless, bleeding from his mouth, completely destroyed. The message was clear: this is what happens when you oppose the final dynasty. This is what happens when you try to be a hero. This is what happens when you dare to fight against power that's too entrenched to overcome. Dean Ambrose finally ran down to try to save his Shield brother, but by that point, it was far too late. Dean fought valiantly, managing to clear the ring temporarily through sheer aggression and desperation. But it was 1 man against 5, and the final dynasty quickly overwhelmed him. They were about to give Dean the same treatment they'd given Sami when Drew McIntyre's music hit. Drew sprinted to the ring with a steel chair, and the combination of Drew and Dean was enough to finally drive off the final dynasty. But the damage was done. Sami Zayn was stretchered out of the arena. Dean Ambrose was left standing in the ring, screaming at the final dynasty as they backed up the ramp, realizing that the Shield's mission to save WWE was now seemingly impossible with CM Punk hospitalized, Sami destroyed, and Seth having betrayed them. The visual of Dean and Drew standing alone in the ring, surrounded by blood and destruction, facing 5 of WWE's most powerful wrestlers backing up the ramp celebrating it, was hopeless. It was David versus 5 Goliaths, and David was running out of stones. But the real story coming out of this SmackDown is Cody Rhodes' complete transformation. When Cody joined the final dynasty, many fans gave him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was infiltrating them. Maybe he was playing the long game. Maybe the American Nightmare would eventually turn on Roman and do the right thing. This match destroyed that hope. Cody wasn't conflicted. He wasn't reluctant. He was an active, willing participant in destroying Sami Zayn. He coordinated with Fatu during the match. He stood by while Sami was assaulted. And when Roman told him to finish your story by hitting that final crossroads, Cody did it without real hesitation. Cody Rhodes has become everything he once fought against. The man who talked about finishing his story by winning the WWE Championship has now become a corporate champion who uses the title to maintain power rather than represent the fans. He's become Triple H 2.0, the wrestler who joins the evil authority structure and becomes complicit in every atrocity committed in the name of maintaining control. And the most infuriating part? Cody will probably justify this in a promo next week. He'll talk about doing what's necessary or ensuring stability or some other corporate doublespeak that tries to explain why he's helping Roman Reigns destroy anyone who opposes them. Backstage reports after SmackDown paint a picture of complete demoralization. The locker room watched Sami Zayn, one of the most beloved wrestlers in WWE, a guy who's fought through every obstacle to prove his worth, get systematically destroyed by 5 people working together. Multiple wrestlers are reportedly questioning whether there's any point in fighting the final dynasty. If Sami, CM Punk, and Dean Ambrose, some of WWE's toughest and most resilient performers, can't make a dent in this alliance, what chance do the midcard guys have? Some wrestlers are reportedly discussing forming their own counter-alliance, but the problem is credibility and star power. The final dynasty has Roman Reigns, The Rock, Cody Rhodes, the WWE Champion, Seth Rollins, and Jacob Fatu. That's 5 main event level performers working as a unit. Who can match that? Drew McIntyre is credible, but he's one man. Dean Ambrose is tough, but he's alone now with his Shield brothers gone. Gunther is dominant, but he's not someone who typically leads factions. The numbers game is overwhelming. Sami Zayn was taken to a medical facility for evaluation after the assault. Reports indicate he suffered multiple injuries, including a concussion, bruised ribs, and significant soft tissue damage. He's expected to miss at least 3 to 4 weeks of action, which means his WrestleMania positioning is now in jeopardy. But the physical injuries are only part of the story. Sources close to Sami say he's emotionally devastated. Not just because he lost or got hurt, Sami's been through worse. He's devastated because he believed that fighting corruption mattered. He believed that standing up to the final dynasty would inspire others and create change. Instead, he got destroyed on national television while WWE's champion actively participated in the assault. The message sent to Sami and to everyone watching is that resistance is futile, that the final dynasty is too powerful to overcome, that heroes don't win in this version of WWE. One source said Sami's questioning whether this is worth it anymore. He's wondering if maybe he should just shut up, take his midcard position, and stop trying to be someone who fights for what's right. Because every time he does, he gets punished for it. That's heartbreaking. Sami Zayn represents the soul of WWE, the underdog who keeps fighting despite the odds. Hearing that he's been broken psychologically by this experience is devastating for anyone who loves what wrestling should represent. WrestleMania 42 is now shaping up to be the darkest event in WWE history. The final dynasty controls everything. Their enemies are hospitalized, destroyed, or demoralized, and there's no clear path to justice or triumph. Dean Ambrose is essentially alone. CM Punk is out with serious injuries. Sami Zayn is broken physically and emotionally. Seth Rollins has betrayed the Shield. And Cody Rhodes has fully embraced his role as a corporate enforcer rather than a people's champion. If WWE is building toward a WrestleMania where the final dynasty wins and maintains control, it's bold storytelling but deeply unsatisfying for fans who want to believe that good eventually triumphs. If they're building toward some miraculous comeback where the resistance somehow overcomes these odds, they haven't laid any groundwork for how that's possible. The triple threat match between Cody Rhodes, Fatu, and Sami Zayn on SmackDown wasn't wrestling, it was a conspiracy to destroy the last vestiges of resistance against the final dynasty's tyranny. Cody and Fatu coordinated to eliminate Sami, then the final dynasty brutalized him in an assault that exposed just how complicit the WWE champion has become in Roman's regime. Sami Zayn lies broken, his WrestleMania dream shattered. Dean Ambrose stands alone against 5 of wrestling's most dominant forces. And Cody Rhodes has completed his transformation from hero to villain, proving that power corrupts absolutely and that finishing your story meant sacrificing every principle he once claimed to value. What's your take? Is Cody beyond redemption? Can Dean possibly overcome the final dynasty alone? Should Sami just give up the fight? Explode in the comments because this is the most divisive and depressing storyline in modern WWE. If this breakdown exposed the full conspiracy, smash that like button and share everywhere. Subscribe to Wrestling News CC because WrestleMania 42 is approaching and we'll cover every development in this dark saga where the bad guys are winning and hope is dying. The final dynasty destroyed Sami Zayn, and wrestling's soul died a little bit with him.